Please enjoy Kare Kare Risotto with Bagaong a la Miss Tessa.
Yo! Did you see that? Check this out, check this out, check this out.
Please enjoy Kare Kare Risotto with Bagaong a la Miss Tessa.
That part right here. This. That is Kare Kare Risotto, and we are gonna remake that right now. Hey, I'm pro rollerblading chef Michael Bidoza, and I run a food pop-up called Banger Tacos, where we take Filipino flavors and infuse it into dishes that are familiar to Southern California. And as a Filipino, I was stoked to hear that there was a Netflix original series where there was an actual Filipino chef. And what he did with Kare Kare Risotto is my type of cuisine. So we're gonna go and make my version of that. Before we make some Kare Kare Risotto, let's break this down. Kare Kare is a popular Filipino dish that's characterized with oxtail, and it's tossed in a peanut butter sauce. Along with it comes with some kabocha squash, green beans, eggplants, and a condiment called bagaong, which is a fermented shrimp, which adds a little bit of salty. Risotto is an Italian dish that consists of white onions, some type of acid, typically white wine, and you can just replace with a lemon. It has a short grain rice, and in this case we're going to use arborio. And then there's chicken stock, and chicken stock is usually added in stages. That makes the dish creamy, and then you add Parmesan cheese, which fills in the gaps to ensure its creaminess. All right, how are we going to fuse this dish? The white onions we're going to keep. That's going to go with Kare Kare. The white wine, I don't know if that's going to pair well with the peanut butter sauce, so we'll have to test for that. We're going to keep the arborio rice. It's got to be short grain. I don't know what other grain rice would be appropriate. Instead of chicken stock, I'm going to go ahead and use oxtail stock instead. We'll start layering in those flavors. And then I don't know how Parmesan cheese and peanut butter sauce go well, so I'm just going to use the peanut butter sauce to make sure it's creamy. These vegetables here are going to be the garnish, and then I'd like to add a crispy component, so maybe if I fry the kabocha squash, we'll get that crispy. And then I'm going to have to figure out how to drizzle the bagaong, because that stuff is pretty potent. All right, what pairs well with peanuts? I don't know if it's anywhere from a white wine or a red wine. The white wine here, I have a lighter Sauvignon Blanc, which is a little bit more tart, peary, is his normal characteristics. Chardonnay is buttery, a little bit more heartier. And then I have the two reds here. This is a Pinot Noir, which is kind of more of the cherry, lighter red, and then a Cab Sauvignon, which is a little bit more darker. I really couldn't figure out which would be the better pairing. Peanut is light in flavor, but I don't know, considering how creamy peanut butter is and how creamy this risotto is gonna be, of which one's really gonna be able to combat all that creamy. So just to start off, I have peanut, and I probably should grab some peanut butter. Let's go test some peanut butter. All right, we're gonna take this, make it in a sauce, and that'll finish the Kare Kare. But might as well just taste. Yeah, so I don't know. Is it a white wine? Is it a red wine? It's so creamy. This actually was really good with it. It's sweet. The peanut butter still kind of was able to be a peanut butter, and it didn't overpower it. You know, low-key, my guess was about to go into the reds as the best pairing. The Sauvignon Blanc paired really well with it. So like with the raw peanuts, completely overpowered it. But when it came to peanut butter, paired really well. Okay, we got a Chardonnay. So that feels like I was drinking butter, and then this peanut butter is already creamy like butter. Wow. Because these are so equal in flavor, I got all the peanut butter components
the Sauvignon Blanc, a little bit higher in acid, was able to cut through the peanut butter, and I was able to get the apple sweetness from this, but it paired well with the peanut butter, almost like peanut butter and jelly. If I was gonna drink something together, I would have these together. My goal here for this dish is to find something that's gonna blend an acid to help cut that creaminess. But let's go ahead and try it with the reds. Let's see where this goes. So, already right off the bat, this just overpowered the peanut butter, completely lost peanut butter. And I'm gonna assume that this is gonna not even pair well with it, just because this is the lighter red, so it's like you're fishing with an M80 and then you're gonna be fishing with dynamite. I'm gonna say this is gonna need some white wine, but I'm gonna assume this is probably better to cook with. Let's go cook.
All right, we're gonna start off by making kare kare. The recipe is originally made with oxtail. Because there's not too much meat, I'm adding shank here, and we'll be braising this to fork tender. I'm gonna add a ton more water than I normally do because risotto requires a lot of liquid. And luckily, oxtail has bones in there and has some good gelatin, so it'll make a good broth. That looks fork tender, right? Alright, let's chop some veggies. I'm gonna start off with some Chinese eggplant. I like to remove the top and the bottom. We'll be splitting these in half to make it easier for my knife. And then we're gonna cut little half moons. For the green beans, I'm just lining up the edges so that I can cut off these ends equally. And then I'm gonna give another chop so that they're about 2 inches long. The kabocha squash is a little challenging, so be careful when you're cutting this because there's so much room for a knife slipping and it can get pretty dangerous. I like to remove the top and the bottom so it gives me a flat surface and there's less room for this thing to roll away. I'm looking to split this thing in half so I can expose the seeds. I like to use a towel to put over the pointy tip so it'll help me get the leverage I need to chop this. And then I'm going to take a spoon and just shovel them out. And then because these cook so quickly and are super creamy as a bite, I'm going to cut these thin and try and fry these to add some crispy texture. I dip the kabocha in a little bit of cornstarch and then I'm just pan frying these. Next, I'll clear my pan out and then add some water and blanch the green beans. I know they're done when they're bright green like this and are al dente to the teeth. Once the green beans are done, I'll clear out the water and then I'll use the heat to dry the pan. Once there are no more visible signs of water, I'll add some cooking oil and then I'm going to go ahead and saute these Chinese eggplants. A moment of truth, we're going to make some risotto. Let's go ahead and get the pan hot. I'm going to saute some white onions until translucent. And then I'm going to add the arborio rice. Here I have a half a cup. We're going to toast it. Next I'm going to add the white wine Sauvignon Blanc, the one that we tasted the peanut butter with for acid. And then I'm going to let that soak up. Once that is absorbed, I'm going to go ahead and add a hot oxtail broth. The grains do better when you use a hot broth. And then I'm going to just ladle enough to cover the grains. Once the grains have absorbed the liquid, I'm going to continue repeating this step by adding more broth, letting it absorb until it gets a little bit soft. In the final stages, I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of the peanut butter sauce that I'm going to mix with the oxtail broth on the side. I'm adding the peanut sauce little by little, making sure that it's going to be at the perfect peanut buttery by the time I'm done. Here I'm going to add some fish sauce. And then I'm gonna reintroduce the eggplants and kind of treat that as my soft vegetables. Last here, I'm gonna garnish with the oxtail. That's gonna be tossed in the peanut sauce as well. And then here I'm adding the green beans that we blanched. And then I'm gonna add those little crispy fried kabocha squashes. I'm drizzling the bagaong. Again, this thing is really potent, so I just want little bits of it. And I think we're done.
All right, moment of truth. Fork, it's spoon tender. This is delicious. This is so good. I got an eggplant, it's still juicy. The squash is a good contrast of textures. Got a little bit of bagaong on my squash. It was sweet, salty. So good. That was incredible. Shout out to the Netflix team over at Replacing Chef Chico, and I am so jealous that you guys thought of this. I tried to do Filipino fusion with some risotto and sinigang, and that was the worst idea. But kare kare with risotto, it just was the right pairing. It made sense. It was still creamy on the kare kare side. It was still creamy on the risotto. Both characteristics of each dish lent well to each other. It was amazing. It changed my life. I could not stop thinking about this meal the next day. I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely fantastic. You need to try this at home. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave a link in the show notes. It'll be an Amazon link that'll have all the ingredients. Just FYI, I get a kickback, but just watch the video over again, try to replicate it if you can. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to DM me. I'm also gonna leave another link with a recipe. It'll be like a rough guideline, but it's something you should try to experience. I know this dish doesn't really exist anywhere else, but who knows? Maybe when I get my own restaurant and I can do Filipino fusion with the skate park, that'd be the day, right? So, hey, if you found some value to this, hit like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm just really glad you went on this adventure with me, and I'll see you in the next video.